Guys, you see the slides, right?
Yes, doctor, we're seeing it.
Yeah. So let's wait for a few minutes. Guys, do you have any kind of issue related to like studying and reading from the assigned readings or articles, and it's kind of that it's not a textbook but the course text, Timothy Lim? So once again, you don't need to memorize. Okay, so this is different from the textbook you actually studied from in your introduction to political science. It was a textbook. If you studied from Ruskin one.
دكتور
Yeah.
هو احنا دلوقتي عملنا study group علشان نعمل
Yeah.
الريدنجز بتاعت كل ويك، يعني زي ما حضرتك نصحتينا
Great.
وكده،
Yeah.
وبقينا نقسمهم ونعمل summary لكل حاجة وكل حاجة تمام يعني. بس هو أنا عندي بس سؤال واحد، هو المعلومات كتير جدا فأنا already بفهمها، بس اللي بيفضل في دماغي إن أنا حافظها أو still موجود مش كتير قوي، فأنا عندي بس تخوف اللي هو أنا في الآخر المفروض إن أنا هحل أنا
the
يعني.
guide post, yeah, but no, don't panic. Okay, the guide post is the lecture. So where I put emphasis, so you need just to flesh out, these points. And if you have like something you really don't understand, just email me.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
Okay. And remind me to talk about your reaction paper. Do you guys, you prefer to have it like a group assignment, the reaction papers? Is it much better for you to study and to digest, the information and the material?
Yes.
But you will all like
I think it would be better.
Can you please mute the voice? But the thing is, you will get the same like grade, okay? Like all the group members. So I won't make any distinction between like different members, okay? So it's a group assignment, so the whole group will get the same grade or the same mark. Are you okay with that? Sorry?
Yes, we are okay.
Yes.
What is the maximum limit for the group?
Sorry, 5. Yeah, this is the most.
5?
Yeah. You can have less than that. You can have a smaller one if you want, or you can have like individual assignment. But this is like, the most like the upper limit, of the composition of the group. Okay? That would be helpful?
Okay, doctor. Okay.
Would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah. Okay, cool. And guys, if you can turn on the cameras, it would be great, yeah, to get familiar with your faces.
Please, doctor.
Mayar?
Mayur.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. I have
Yeah.
sent it via email to you, but it's queued until this moment. It has been sent.
Which one?
I have sent an email.
Yeah.
Because I have some questions about the readings. I have some paragraphs in it. I didn't get it good, so I wanted to ask about them and send them via email. But it's
Okay,
you can
we can talk, during my office hours. I'll be available online, every Wednesday after the lecture.
Okay, doctor. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I haven't received any email from you. I've got like a few emails regarding like which chapter, page numbers, this kind of, nothing really like, regarding the substance. It's all about like, this is like chapter 1, this is the introduction, and chapter, it's like the chapter 2, it's under this subheading of part 1. So I got like these kind of
I have sent it, but
it's not like technical. Yeah.
But I think you didn't receive it, so I'll try to send it again.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Don't reply
Thank
to
you.
Moodle's message. Just use my email address, okay?
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Thanks. Okay, so from this week and over the next 3 ones, we will be talking about, you know, the theories, the substance of the theories we've been talking about. And this week we're trying to examine in thoroughly, you know, this rational choice theory as a theory in comparative politics, the main assumptions, the major applications, and what kind of critiques, you know, some scholars offer to rational choice as a theory. So I'll try to link this, you know, up to guys. I haven't. Please. Yeah, a few of you, I haven't changed, you know, the status from the moderator to participant. So please don't touch the slides, okay? Because you got admitted before I changed the status of your of the guests. So don't touch the slides. Just listen, okay?
Okay, doctor.
Yeah. So basically, can you remind me about the behavioral revolution and the absence of positivism? يارا؟
behavioral.
Yeah.
اوكي، هو اللي فهمته من البيهيفيرال ان هما they believe in causality. هما came up with a general يعني causality statement about social and political phenomena، وهما believe there is a directly أو observed relationship between the two variable. أما البوست behavioralist إن هما they still behavior about the believing in causality about x and y two variable, but they but not everything we can directly observe. فده اللي فهمته يعني.
Yeah. Okay, so rational choice, it's some sort of post, you know, with this behavioral revolution especially in the American political science in the 50s and 60s. So the essence of this behavioral revolution, you can find the same essence, or this kind of testability and observability, and how to generate, you know, kind of hypotheses to be empirically tested, and then to come up with generalization or general law. So you will find this in rational choice as a theory. But let me like remind you about the definition of the theory again. So what's the main purpose of having a theory? Of having this abstract state about, you know, this kind of relation between two variables?
I think
Yeah?
to make a generalization.
to get things better.
But for the purpose of the research, not the implication
We
for,
want
like, you know,
to
policy or
generalize.
society. Yeah?
We want to generalize
How?
what we reached from the
Okay, and how we generalize, how we reach the process we need, or the steps we need to follow in order to reach these kind of generalizations.
We try to
understand the regularities.
Yara?
evaluate.
we compare according to
Yes.
Yara, I can't hear you.
Which Yara?
Yara Tariq, I think she's talking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have,
I
I have like the name appears on the screen, so don't worry. Go ahead.
اوكي، هي يارا عبد المقصود كانت بتقول ان احنا نعمل generalization، فحضرتك بتقولي ازاي هنوصل للبروسيس دي، فانا قلت ان احنا by understanding the regularities.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
we are trying to understand how like how things work, why and why they work the same way, these kind of pattern regularities. So we need to break it down to unravel this in a way to answer how and why questions. Okay. So it would offer us kind of simplification or abstraction of the reality. It doesn't capture the complexity, but it would offer you, like, you know, a filtering device, what kind of information you need to focus on, and what kind of information or facts you can just dismiss because it's kind of irrelevant to your research question or to the phenomenon you need to investigate. for rational choice as a theory, what we need, you know, to understand from that?
The
Human
and that,
behavior.
and that
Malak,
people, yes, Malak.
can you
The
please
human be-
raise your hand, and then I can like pick, you know, one, two.
Okay.
Yeah.
The human behavior, and that according to the rational choice theory, people are following their interests and they try to maximize their utility and benefit.
Yeah. So what I need to examine or to investigate in some detail, I need to examine how human being behaves, and what kind of motivation or preferences would account for this behavior or act. So the main thing I need to focus, I need to collect facts regarding, you know, this pillar or this assumption of rational choice. So I basically examine human behavior, and I do care about, you know, the preferences and motivation of human behavior, how they behave, and why they have these kind of motivations to start with, and how these motivations would direct or guide human behavior and human acts and choices. And this is just to make this kind of powerful generalization, or to predict in a way or another human behavior, that it's not limited to particular context. But I do believe that these kind of behaviors and motivations, you can find it, or these kind of elements hold true across different contexts and across time as well. So this is like would help us to, from human behavior, human acts, and human motivations, we need to come up with this generalization, collective political outcomes. The voting behavior. Someone, Yara Tariq?
يا دكتور I want to add ان هو الميجر تاسك للراشوناليست ان هما to offer الاكسبلانيشن تكون logically و empirically برضو. ادي انا قرأتها من الريدنجز فما اعرفش هي صح ولا غلط، فقلت اقولها
Say that
لحضرتك.
empirically and
Yes, logically. Yes. ان هما offer explanation.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to explain. We need to come up with the
Yes.
causality. X causes Y in order to generalize, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the
Okay,
essence, you know, of positivism and the behavioral revolution. So in this sense, so we talk about this deductive model. So deductive model, so I have these kind of general assumptions, and from these kind of crucial assumptions, I can, about rationality and rational choice, so I can derive hypotheses to be tested and then to be empirically verified or falsified. So what are the main assumptions regarding this rationality of human behavior or human acts and human motivation? So basically, I talk about like four main buzzwords here in order to come up with these assumptions. So remember, reason, self-interest, constraints, and uncertainty. Lujain?
I was just going to state one of the main factors of the rational choice theory, one of the assumptions that the individual is rational enough to make the choices that gets him in a better way, that improves his life and his situation.
Yeah. So this kind of deployment of reason as a self-interest, so you have like your own calculations in order to make, you know, the best choice that would have like the best outcome for you when you're faced, you know, with different situations and you have to make a choice between different alternatives. So let's talk about the main assumptions of rational choice. So let me finish the slide and then I can take your questions. I have Yara Abdel Maqsood, but let me finish this first. So acting rationally. So what does it mean for someone to act rationally? So it means when you're faced with a situation or different alternatives, so you choose the best one or the better one over the worst one. So you have to kind of to rank them in order. So you have your own criteria in this ranking, and then you make the best choice that would have like the most feasible outcome or the most preferable outcome that you actually aim at or aspire for. So you have like, as you deploy reason in order to rank these alternatives, in order to make a choice between available from the available alternatives or options. And then you have these kind of strategic calculations. So you select the alternative that would maximize your utility. So you need to maximize your gains and minimize your cost. So let me give you examples. As if you are like if you are doing business, so you have like you kind of involved in like trading or economic transaction. So as a merchant or as like one doing business, you need to maximize your wealth from these kind of transactions or exchanges with other like traders or other business groups. So you need to maximize your wealth. So the main motive or the motivation is like maximizing utility in a sense of like accumulating wealth and maximizing material gains. Peasants, for example, in the countryside, so the main motives or the main motivation behind any choice, so they need to advance their material livelihood or to have like this kind of personal, to guarantee the personal survival. So perhaps they can like form this kind of agricultural cooperative in order to get some credit in order to advance their business or their kind of economic activity with regard to the cultivation. As a politician, so you have to campaign on a particular policy program or political platform in order to maximize votes, and then you can stay in office. So you like actor, you need to employ this kind of reason as a self-interest to maximize your utility and gains. So you have to select or to choose the best alternatives from the existing ones that would maximize or would have like the best outcome for you. So the key here, methodologically speaking, like this motivation, you need to know about these kind of motivations beforehand. It has to be known like ex ante, meaning as a business, like as kind of as a businessman. So you need to maximize or to accumulate your wealth. So I know this beforehand before I explain particular behavior or particular choice, from business association. So for example, I have like business community that the actually the main products or the main market is the domestic one. So they need to impose. This is like a difficult example, but I assume that you have like macroeconomics, so you can understand this. So the thing is, as a group, you have like domestic products. You need to protect your products from international competition. So as a group, you need to, the main motivation to maximize your wealth by protecting your domestic products from international competition. So this way, you need to reach out to like decision makers or policy making circles in order to impose tariffs on the imported goods in order to protect or to shield your products from international ones. So this is, I know this beforehand in advance, like this kind of preference business groups or business associations may have. So I cannot like know this after they forming kind of association or organization in order to pressure the government. But I know that the main motivation as a rational actor or behaving rationally, this is how they should behave. This is the main motivation in order to maximize their wealth. So this is a crucial step, just to know like this kind of the step of preference formation and the motivation of individuals or agency or actors before analyzing or making this causal claim about X and Y, like the collective outcome and the rational the individual choice. And for rational choice theory as well, they do pay attention to the environment within which the agency or the actors would actually make their decisions. And this actually, the environment may shape their actions. So let me give you another example. In here, you know, at Cairo University or at FEPS, you as like rational students as rational actors, how should you, or in order to act rationally, if you're faced with different kind of course choices, you have like to select between different courses. So what kind of reason you need to apply within this environment, within the environment of the educational environment at FEPS? What does it mean to act rationally when you face like different choices between different subjects or different courses? Anyone? Mariam? Yeah?
To compare between them and choose the best one for me.
Yeah? How you do this? What kind of what's the reason and the self-interest here in words?
I don't know.
Okay, anyone?
Doctor, I think I will choose the courses which will يعني I will get in them high marks يعني.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need to get like, you know, high grade, the highest, you know, grade, right? So you make your
Yes.
calculations by asking about, you know, the professors or the instructors of these courses, and you need to come up with the choices based on tough grader, or like, you know, the if this professor is a tough grader, so you're gonna avoid, you know, this course, and you're going to select or to pick, you know, the other course in order to maximize your grades, right?
Right.
Okay. And this is like, you know, the environment your that would shape your action. If you are competing with your colleague because you need to get hired as like a teaching assistant or something, so you need like to maximize your grades in order to maximize your chance of getting hired as an instructor, you know, after graduation, right? So this is the environment that would shape your action, or would shape your rational choice, or rational behavior. And for them, and that's why rational choice, like proponents of rational choice, they don't neglect, you know, the environment or the institutional setting, you know, within which, you know, these actions or these choices are being made.
Doctor.
But again, Mariam? Yeah?
Yara.
Yara? Okay, go ahead.
Doctor, is this mean that the environment affect my choices according
Yara,
to the
I
courses,
can't
for
hear you.
example? As you
Yara, I
mentioned,
can't hear you. Say it again.
is this mean that the environment affecting my choices?
Yeah, I'm coming to this. Okay, so like slowly you will get there. So as I'll apply the same example in order to make the idea approachable for you. So as your kind of self-interest, you make these kind of strategic, you know, calculations within this environment. But, you know, this kind of self-interest and calculations are broadly defined. So you might have different motivations. You know, this is the environment, how to maximize your grades. Okay, so this is like, you know, the setting, you know, within which you make your own choice. But this is as a self-interest. It's kind of how about another preference, for example, like you don't care about, you know, getting hired or getting, you know, um, higher grades in order to advance your or to increase your chances of getting into the job market in Egypt, but you have like another plan or another preference of like applying to postgraduate studies abroad. So you need to get kind of to get the basic information or knowledge needed in order to get admitted, you know, to these universities. So that's why it's kind of self-interest or strategic calculations are broadly defined. If we apply this to political science as well, how about there are kind of non-egoistic preferences as well? As a rational choice, as a rational choice actor, or rational actors, in order to make a rational choice, uh, not only to maximize your utility, you have kind of motivational norms or religious conviction or ethical principles you need to abide by. So, for example, if you face a situation is kind of leaking, you know, the exam questions. So perhaps as a rational and self-interest actors, so you can, like, you know, get, you know, the questions and to understand and to study well and to answer them beforehand before you getting, you know, to the exam, and then you can just, you know, answer the questions you cheated and you got them in advance. So this is like it could be depicted as rational behavior in order to maximize your grades. And, you know, like now, like you have like perhaps like 90% chance to get, like, you know, a high grade. But what about, you know, these kind of ethical principles you need to abide by? So perhaps like people have different other motivation or different other preference. As rational choice theorists, they need to pay attention to. So perhaps, no, this is unethical. I'm not gonna like have a look, you know, at these questions. I need to merit. I need just to study well, and then I can enter the exam, and whatever it comes, it's okay. It will depend on kind of objective standards of marking the exam. So I will get what I deserve. So this kind of other kind of motivational norms or ethical principles that would actually motivate your behavior or motivate your action. And so you are kind of constrained by the environment you are making your decision within, and some other kind of non-egoistic preferences or like sense of duty and sense of role defined by, again, perhaps like religion as an institution, or institutional rules, or sanctions, or self-imposed rules. So this kind of it's a little bit complex in political science. In economics, it's okay. It's easily observable. It's easily to know the motivation of consumer or business beforehand or in advance. But in political science, it's a little bit difficult. So that's why rational choice has to modify the assumptions in order to take on board, you know, some of these concerns. So that's why the rational choice as a theory or proponents, they actually responded, you know, to these kind of concerns by giving some space for motivational norms and convictions and these kind of considerations while making or behaving rationally. And again, there is kind of what complicates or what would add kind of complexity as well, this kind of interdependence or interaction. So you cannot, at least while you are making your own choice, it's kind of you face a situation with at least two players. Back to the examples about your grades, guys, stop like joining and leaving the session, okay? And Mariam, can you please like stop playing with the icon about like hands up? And Mariam Mahmoud, okay? Okay, so this kind of interaction or interdependence between like the interaction and the interdependence. Not only you take your own decision or you make your own choice while expecting or believing or taking into consideration how other people as well would behave or would respond to your choice. So this is like I'll explain this, and next lecture I can go in some detail. Back to the competition between like two of you. If Yara, for example, or like any two of you are competing in order to get, you know, admitted, you know, to a scholarship or something like this, so you need to get like, you know, higher grades in order to get, you know, this scholarship to study, to have like 1 semester abroad or something. And you have to choose between different courses. So the choice you make, it's not only about what complicates your strategic calculations, that you don't only gather information about, you know, easy graders or tough graders, about, you know, the professors or the instructors, but you also bear in mind or you take into consideration the choices made by your competitor as well. So if the competitor would go the other way, so you need to calculate or to take this into your calculations or considerations. So, and you don't know what he will choose. So that's why at least this is kind of strategic and interdependence, in a sense that when you face any kind of alternative and when you can make any kind of choice, you have to take into your consideration or into your calculations how others, you know, will respond to not only how they act and respond to your choice, but actually you don't have the information about, you know, how your competitor would behave. So that's why it's kind of, it's difficult to speak of political equilibrium in this sense. You have multiple equilibrium, and this would kind of undermine the predictive power of rational choice theory. If you want to leave the session, leave now. If I got, you know, this kind of notification, I'll write down your names and you will get penalized. And next time I'll restrict access. So this kind of interdependence between at least two players made like the consequences kind of uncertain. You are not 100% sure in advance about the consequences of your choice, and you don't have like information about others, the other actors' choices as well. So that's why you need to the rational choice theory actually introduced another assumption or another element about uncertainty. So one of the key concepts, so in addition to self-interest and reason, you have this kind of uncertainty as well. So from this uncertainty, rational choice can, proponents of rational choice can offer even like if you have like irrational outcome, so rational choice can still explain this rational outcome because of this kind of uncertainty. So so I don't overstate, you know, this the capacity of the human being to gauge, you know, the risk or the benefits they would drive. So they made their choices with an uncertain environment with unintended, you know, consequences. So that's why this is the real world puzzle. If you know in advance, you know, if you're 100% sure, and if you know in advance all the consequences of your choice, so you kind of, there will be no problem, you know, in reality. But in reality, you need to take into consideration how others act or respond to your choice, and as well, like you work in an environment of incomplete information. You don't have like full information about the choice of your competitor, for example, or the choice of other business group um, in another example in the economic domain. So let me give you another example about this. Is like the application of this. It's very prominent in regime breakdown and democratic transition. In the context of Latin America, during the 60s and 70s, there were divisions between political actors. Okay, so you have like to identify what kind of political actors and what kind of alternative they face. So you have in Chile, for example, so you have the left, the left and the right. Okay, so the ideologically the right wingers and the left wingers, and there are kind of division within each camp. So you have on the right, so you have this division between hardliners and moderate right, and on the left, so you have as well moderates and hardliners. And what kind of the motivation and the alternatives they face. So they disagreed, or they had like disputes over the pace of the reforms. To what extent we can introduce gradual social and economic reforms in order to demobilize and to de-radicalize labor unions and popular movements. So within the right camp, so you have like two players, the moderate and the hardliners and softliners, let's say. So the softliners, they need to, we can introduce these kind of gradual social and economic reform to accommodate, some of the popular interest, and then we can keep, we can save the democratic regime from from military intervention. And the leftists as well, like the hardliners, they disagreed. So we are not going to introduce any kind of social or economic reforms or to accommodate any kind of these interests. But for the leftist, you have like the moderate as well. We don't need to apply, these kind of radical social and economic reforms to respond to every or all the demands, these trade unions and popular and social movements would articulate, to accommodate, some of these, to respond to some of these demands and to save, the democratic regime as well. But, the hard left, they need to advance or to undertake this kind of socialist revolution by advancing, these kind of radical reform. So they have like different, so the main motivation, it's like introducing gradual reform measures in order to save democracy, or not to introduce, these kind of measures, and then the collapse or the regime breakdown by inviting, the military in order to put an end to these elite disputes. As a rational actor, what would you choose, while facing, this kind of situation? Anyone? Mayar?
Please.
Yeah.
I think the example is not completely clear. So can you tell me another example, please?
Okay, so let me finish this example because I need to give some examples from political science. I offered like, some simple examples by like making this approachable by like making examples from like the educational environment at FEBS, but this is not all about rational choice. So I need to offer some examples from political science as well. Okay, yes. So as a rational actor here, you need to save, this like the efficient choice. You need to save, the democratic regime and to keep the regime from. Okay, stop playing with the slides. I think I deal with you as grown-ups. Okay. So basically, as a rational actor, so you need to the efficient outcome or the best alternative is to introduce these kind of gradual reforms and to save, you know, this democratic regime. But another kind of equilibrium here is to keep your ideological camp coherent, okay? Because if you decide, you know, to introduce, you know, these kind of gradual reforms, this would divide or fragment your camp, and you don't know what the other camp, you know, or the leftist would do. You might agree with the softliners on the leftist softliners, but they might defect, they might behave, you know, the other way. They might backtrack on these kind of promises and to align, you know, with their own camp to keep it coherent. So another kind of equilibrium here, or to keep your ideological camp coherent. So no democracy, no reform. So while you're making your own choice here, so you cannot make these kind of strategic calculations or rational calculations, irrespective of the environment or how the other actors would choose or how the other actors would behave. So you made this choice in light of your expectations about or your beliefs about, you know, the other actors, and as well the information you have. You don't have like complete information about the leftist camp, whether or not, you know, what's going on inside their parties. Would they keep their like to abide by this kind of party discipline, or they might kind of defect in order to save democracy and to introduce radical reforms. So that's the thing. It's kind of irrational to go for this no reform, no democracy, to keep your ideological camp coherent. So you do not, this way you didn't save the democracy, and you call upon the army to intervene in order to arbitrate or to solve, you know, these kind of disputes, and then put an end to democratic rule. No democracy here and no reform. It's kind of equilibrium as well, but it's suboptimal. It's still rational. See, irrational choice and irrational outcome, it doesn't actually say that, or it doesn't refer to that there is something wrong with rational choice. It's still, you know, these kind of irrational choices, you know, taken by or made by particular actors. You can still interpret this from a rational choice perspective. Lujain?
Rational for me might not be rational for somebody else.
This is related to the motivation and the preferences, but here I'm talking about uncertainty, how you take your decision while bearing in mind or taking into consideration the response of other actors or the choices of other actors, and what kind of information available for you. So let me give you another like example. Like if you and Aya, for example, so you have like the final exam questions. You got it, you know, from somewhere, okay? Or you can actually get, you know, the exam questions from somewhere. But the thing is, if you tell, this is like the situation, the environment. So I have a class of only two, you and Aya, okay? And then you have a final exam, and you can get, you know, the exam questions before like 2 days before the exam day. So what's the rational behavior or the rational choice here? To get it and to coordinate with Aya in order to divide up the material and to divide the labor kind of between both of you, and then she can answer question 1 and you question 2, and then you can exchange in order to save time, and then you can get high grades, right? This is a rational,
yes.
yeah, this is like self-interest and like maximizing utility in a sense of like grades. right?
Maximizing utility, but with an immoral way.
Sorry? Say it again. I can't hear you.
That I'm here maximizing my utility because we are both are going to get grades, but in an immoral.
That's it. So that's the thing. It's kind of you don't pay attention. So that two things here. So if I need to explain this kind of self-interest, so I don't pay attention. So maybe you have like a different motivation or a different system of preference. So this is like immoral just to do that. So I'm not going to do that. So that's why I need like to integrate into my model this kind of non-material or these kind of ethical principles or considerations. But there is another like you still believe that this is kind of a self-interest and this is a rational behavior to maximize your utility. But in a way, you actually you don't trust Aya that much, so you are worried about, you know, if Aya would actually reach out to me, and then by reaching out to me she's going to tell me, you know what, we're going to like to have, you know, this kind of leaked questions, and I'm not going to do this because of 1 2 3. She might have like, you know, her own calculations or considerations. But the thing is, so here you cannot share this with Aya because you actually you don't know, you are not 100%, you don't have the information about how will she respond to your request or to your demand. Okay, so in this way you are uncertain about the consequences of your act. So in this situation you, sorry. So in this situation,
Be that I'm not going.
guys, there is a delay in your voice.
Doctor,
Yeah.
I have a question. Can we connect
Let
the
me finish
game
with the.
theory?
Yeah.
Can we connect the game theory by rational choice theory? Are they both the
Yeah,
same?
it's a part. Yeah. It's one of the application, like game theory. It's kind of, it's part of rational choice.
As an example, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So this Lujain Aya example, this is like the analytical equivalent of this is this like the division between like the right wingers and left wingers in Chile and Brazil, for example. So the Lujain and Aya, they opted for, you know what, no sharing no sharing of the questions and no collaboration. Okay, and this is like it's called like prisoner's dilemma in the game theory. So this is kind of inefficient. If they collaborated or coordinated, they might have like this optimal outcome, like sharing, you know, the questions, dividing, you know, the labor or the work between them, and then maximizing your their utility. Like soft liners from the right wingers, soft liners from the left camp, they might have like coordinated together in order to introduce some gradual reforms and save democracy, instead of ushering in or instead of allowing the military to establish a repressive and authoritarian regime, and then the regime actually cracked down on them both. So that's why it's kind of inefficient, but it's an equilibrium. So that's why if you have like multiple equilibria, so you need to introduce another kind of concept in order to deal or to like to explain or this kind of how X causes Y. So that's why they introduced this assumption about uncertainty about like the outcomes or the consequences of your choices, because you need to take into consideration these kind of interdependence between your actions or between your choice and others' choices as well, on the one hand, and the information. You act in an environment of incomplete information in a way or another. So that's why even like the inefficient outcomes or irrational outcomes or suboptimal outcomes, you can still interpret this from rational choice perspective.
Please, the
Yeah, Malak?
Mayor.
Mayar, yeah.
Yeah, but in both of examples, we still have an egoist preferences. So how we said
This is
before,
this is another thing. I'm talking about I'm talking about different assumptions and how rational choice actually responded or accommodated, some or the actually take into consideration some of these concerns by introducing or integrating into the models, some sort of other assumptions to increase its explanatory and predictive leverage. Okay, so you might stop at this self-interest and reason, okay? But even with the self-interest and reason, it's kind of, what about the broader category of preferences and motivations? It's not only utility maximization, it might include ethical principles and ethical concerns as well. So that's why the model actually integrates some these of non-egoistic preferences into the model, okay?
I got that.
And the example finished at, Lujain told me, like she made, her own calculations. You know what? This is like unethical. It actually runs against, my ethical principles or like community standards or norms. So that's why I just, as if, I didn't, I haven't known anything about, these kind of exam questions, and that's it. Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
But you can take it, to a different stage or a different level by, if you still they need to maximize their utility, uncertainty still there, it might complicate or adds this kind of complexity to the decision making or the rational choice. Okay, and still what seems kind of irrational. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Doctor.
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Doctor.
Yeah, because I got like a message that the connection is a little bit poor, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me well. Okay, so even if you see that this is kind of irrational outcome, it's still rational. Has its own conceptual framework, and it has its own assumptions and hypotheses to be tested in order to examine this irrational or inefficient outcome. Okay. And that's why, yeah.
How can we apply the immoral, the ethical, and the non-ethical code on a political situation? Politics has no ethics.
You need an example?
And I got the example of the exam and the leaked question, but how can we have an immoral and immoral and immoral situation in a political system?
It's not, this is for example, but it might be, that's why here in the leftist and the right wingers, for example, so they might have, this is not this is not ethical, but it's still non-material kind of element while making calculations. For example, they need to maintain their camp coherent ideologically. Okay, so they genuinely believe in this kind of ideological framework, so they cannot break loose, ideological.
But the other camp is considered non-rational choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you might see this as a political scientist or a comparativist. You care about the outcome. Okay. So what's puzzling here is the collapse of democratic regime in Chile in 1973. This is this is what really happened there, by the way. This is not like a hypothetical example. So it's kind of, you need to understand this outcome, how political actors actually behaved the way they behaved during or at this critical moment, in order to have this kind of inefficient or perhaps this seemingly irrational choice by inviting, the military and establishing, the repressive regime of Pinochet there in Chile.
Thank you.
So you need, okay, so you need to understand this outcome. So you have Kuhin, for example, he applied, this game theory and prisoner's dilemma framework as the concept of uncertainty in order to understand this irrational behavior of political actors. Okay. But again, a different example, if you need to have the same example by applying, you have a different analytical framework about this kind of broader category of utility maximization. Perhaps you might, you need to focus on the leftist camp, okay? And define as a rational choice, as a believer in this rational choice, you know what, they don't care about this kind of utility maximizing concept of maintaining or saving democracy, but they don't care the priority, or when they face, you know, these kind of different alternatives, they did care about, because they are genuine believer in this Marxism. So they did believe in this kind of ideological coherent within the leftist camp. So that's why they decided not to go with the soft liners on the right of the political spectrum in order to save democracy. So even if it's irrational or bad choices for you, it's still rational choice. It doesn't mean that rational choice is wrong, but rational choice has kind of conceptual tools and assumptions that would help you understand this kind of inefficient and what they call like suboptimal collective outcome. Okay. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yeah. Okay. So the four assumption about like rational choice and acting rationally as well, it's while you are making your choice, as I mentioned, you're making your own choice within a particular environment or a particular setting. Okay, this kind of setting imposes kind of constraints on your choices, as like realistically speaking, or the real actions, you know, you need to take, or the real choices you need to make, they are actually constrained by these kind of environmental
يا
elements.
دكتور يعني الصوت وحش جدا.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like
دكتور هو
I think some other
مش
students.
أحسن
Yeah.
الابلكيشن.
Sorry. I can hear you.
دكتور
Yeah.
الابلكيشن بتاع بلاك بورد مش احسن من الابلكيشنز اللي حضرتك كنتي بتستخدميهم قبل كده، يعني الصوت هنا دايما بيقطع.
I know, but this is I don't know. I really don't know what to do. This is the platform. So you prefer Zoom?
لا انا مش عايزه ارجع بيتي لاهلي بفضل بابا وماما واخواتي واخواني، والنهارده كان المفروض عندي
ساندرا؟
ومفيش اي وسيله نروح فيها ولا
Guys, mute your voice. Sandra, go ahead.
Doctor, can I ask a question?
Malak? Yeah.
Back to the irrational outcome that I may have. Well, it's based on, يعني I can have an irrational outcome if just someone, another person involved in my decision, يعني if it's something uncertain or interdependence, يعني there is a competition, so I'm going to take the other person يعني choices in my consideration. What I mean is that if I'm taking a choice based on me, only me, يعني I may have rational outcome at the end. Right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I was going to say this. That's why I mentioned in the very beginning, it's kind of a little bit complex when it comes to political behavior, because they actually, you know what, they exported this from the economic domain, and the economic domain, or mainly like new classical economics, for example. As a customer, if you need to purchase, you know, one good, you don't take into your consideration what others, you know, would buy this product or not, and this how this would affect, you know, eventually, or transform it eventually into kind of a price signals or whatever. Because in economics, the whole idea here, customers, the choices of other customers, you know, would transform, you know, these kind of choices into prices and output products for like industrial, particular, you know, industrial activity or economic activity. But when you make, this is what like these prices, you know, and output products, this is like the foundation of your choice. And you don't take into consideration what other customers, you know, would buy this product or not. You just make your own calculation. This is my budget, and I do prefer like Mac laptop to like HP, for example. So you don't take into consideration, you know, what others, you know, what other customers, you know, would do, and how this would have, like, you know, consequences or repercussions for Apple or Microsoft, for example. You don't need, you know, to gather information about, you know, the a consumer market, you know, and the size of the products or the output products for these companies. You just, you know, make your own decision irrespective of others' decisions or choices. But in political science, it's not that simple.
Yes, I got it.
You got it? Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So they actually introduced, you know, another element or another assumption regarding, you know, these kind of constraints. In order to respond, you know, or to actually to increase, you know, their explanatory power, rational choice theorists, they actually mentioned something. They didn't neglect, you know, these kind of environment setting. This would actually the meso level. We don't care. We do care about individual choices, but these choices actually are made, you know, usually made within these kind of institutional setting or environment setting, or within particular constraints. For example, the most important limitations or constraints on your choices, the economic ones. So if you have you have to, when you make your own choices between different alternatives, you have limited economic resources. So within your budget, you have to, with this kind of productive capacity as an industrialist, for example. So you have like limited economic resources as a political party. You don't have enough financial power or economic resources to have campaign in Upper Egypt, for example. So that's why you focus on Delta. So it might be kind of irrational.
دكتور
Yeah. Yeah.
دكتور صوت حضرتك بيوصل لي مقطع وبصعوبة جدا، فأنا مش عارفة دي مشكلة من عندي ولا من عندكم كله، بس
No,
أنا
this is
متأكدة إن الإنترنت
Blackboard.
كونكشن عندي كويس جدا. طب أنا
It's
تقريبا ما
about
سمعتش من المحاضرة حاجة غير حاجات بسيطة جدا. أنا مش عارفة أركز خالص مش عارفة. أنا مش
okay.
فاهمة حضرتك بتقولي إيه دلوقتي للأسف. أنا
there are interruptions or delay in the voice. Yara?
دكتور
Okay,
أنا
you will
كمان
have.
عندي نفس
I think this is a common problem, and I do recommend if you guys just reach out to the IT at FEPS and tell them about that, because I think like another professors, you know, complain about that.
أنا دكتور صوفي قطع كتير قوي في الليكتشر.
Yeah, I think last week one of the two of the colleagues actually they actually passed, you know, this information, and I'm not sure how they handled this, because this is the only platform they offered, by the way. And you guys can email them, and meanwhile I don't know if you want to Zoom is better than that.
Yes, Dr. Zoom.
Yes, that's
Zoom is better.
Yes.
definitely better.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So let's have it on Zoom next time until but meanwhile, you need to email them, okay?
Okay, Dr.
Yeah. This
دكتور
is
هو انا
like
بكلم حضرتك وهو فصل عندي فانا مش عارفه حضرتك رديتي قلتي ايه.
yeah, and you will have like a recording, you know, of this lecture. Okay, so don't worry, I have
تمام.
like another recording
طب
on
هو
my
احنا هنتعامل على البلاك بورد بعد كده؟ اللي هو بشع جدا.
until no Zoom until they actually offer another solution regarding to the voice, because I think it's a general problem. This is not related to the internet
انا ما
connection.
سمعتش حاجه من المحاضره غير اول 10 دقايق فيا ريت يعني. شكرا يا دكتور.
Okay, but meanwhile, this is your right. Okay, so you need just to email the IT. This is the service the university has to offer.
تمام يا دكتور تمام.
حاضر.
Okay, yeah. So let me finish, you know, this slide, and then we can agree on how can we proceed, you know, with our sessions. So actually, you have like kind of you make your own choices, you know, within these kind of environmental constraints. So the main two ones, the economic resources. So if you as a political party, you're campaigning in order to maximize the votes in order to reach power or to have like some parliamentary seats. So you need to campaign or to organize political campaigns across the country in Egypt here. So you need to travel, you know, across not only Lower Egypt, but you need to penetrate, you know, some Sa'id or Upper Egypt as well in order to build your own constituencies. But you are faced with this kind of limited economic resources. You cannot organize, you know, these kind of campaigns. So this kind of what seems irrational to you, it's kind of the rational choice theory would interpret or explain this by economic constraints or economic resources, the limitation of economic resources, because the political party leaders, they took decisions within these kind of framework of budget constraints. Or and we are going to talk about this in the institutionalism, in the new institutionalism week, institutional rules and sanctions as well. So you need the institution, as a bureaucrat, for example, you need to maximize the allocation of resources for your like decision-making administration or agency. But there are kind of rules and sanctions in order to that would actually prevent you from taking, you know, this choice or from taking, you know, this action. So the institutional rules, for example, would say, yeah, this is a good example. If you have like here at FAPS or Cairo University, they already paid for Blackboard, and you guys you're not totally satisfied with the service. Okay, so that's why you need, as rational actors, perhaps you need the faculty to fund or to purchase, you know, this kind of institutional version of Zoom. Okay, but if there is kind of a rule saying that, you know what, they can they already like bought this kind of educational platform and they are not going to do that. So as a rational behavior, as a rational actor, or in order to follow this kind of rational behavior, you are limited or constrained by these institutional rules. That these rules, or the FAPS as an institution or Cairo University as an institution, it's not only a player in your game or in your calculations, strategic calculations, but it actually define, you know, what kind of information available and the payoffs, you know, available for you. And this actually would constrain your own choices. So you need to this would like they might offer like some information or not, or they control, you know, this kind of information and the payoffs as well. So you might you need to increase your payoffs by having, you know, another or alternative educational platform, but still these kind of institutional rules or institutional constraints kept you from making, you know, this decision or taking, you know, this action. So the point here if there is kind of bad choice or irrational behavior, it doesn't mean that rationalness is wrong. So they develop the theorists or proponents of rational choice or advocates, they actually responded or modified, you know, the model several times in order to take on board, you know, some of their concerns by elaborating or giving some space for normative elements and non-egoistic preferences, by adding, you know, this uncertainty to the analysis, and environment or the constraints, economic and institutional constraints, in a way or another. So this kind of rational choice or the explanations they would offer, it might help you understand irrational outcomes. And this is like another example I can use it to simplify the idea of collective action. So here, if you guys act collectively, you have as a self-interest actor, so you need to sign a petition, for example, or to coordinate your effort in order to have a message to the dean, in order to convey your message or to get your message across regarding, you know, this Blackboard platform. Okay, but you know what, you're like 70 individuals or 70 members in course, so you actually defer this, you know, to other colleagues, you know, to do that, and you ended up doing nothing. And instead of approaching or reaching out to the dean in order to have, like, you know, this kind of collective demand, and to have like the better or the best outcome for you by having another efficient platform, you actually decided, you know, not to go, you know, that direction. So this is what's called collective action problem. We will talk more about this next time. And this is how rational choice would help you understand this collective, the puzzle of collective action, or why people, you know, don't act collectively in a form in order to meet, you know, in order to achieve, you know, the best outcomes for all of them. So that and another element here with regard to the choices here, you need to take into consideration as well the while interpreting or explaining, actions and choices of rational actors or students as rational actors. So I need to dig deeper into these kind of sources of interest and distribution of power and different kind of roles. So different example here, and I leave it there and I'll pick it up from here next time. I'm saying this, but I need to introduce, you know, some sort of idea to you. So rational choice as well was criticized by not offering detailed information about why people perceive their interests the way they perceive, and what constitutes these interests. The one who is playing, you know, with the slides. Yeah. What should we understand from that? Okay, so you need, that's why rational choice was criticized by some, that it does need some sort of complementary explanations. So I need to know, for example, if the political elites, they need, as a rational actor, they need to maximize their revenues from taxes. And then they didn't impose like this kind of income taxes. So you need to understand this is like irrational behavior for you, that they have like, they have the option, or they have like to make, they can make a decision regarding imposing this income taxes, but they actually didn't go that way. Yeah.
هو ايه اللي بيحصل في السلايدز ده؟ ايوه ماني، هو ايه اللي بيحصل في السلايدز ده؟
Yeah, because I admitted, I have the names, by the way, the guys, you know, that they got admitted as moderators, because as guests they were not able to do that. So someone got admitted as moderator, and I think playing with the slides.
تمام.
mentally retarded or something.
ربنا يهدي. تمام ماشي يا دكتور سامي.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like, yeah, just neglect, yeah.
تمام يا دكتور.
Okay, so these kind of you need like to examine this kind of you cannot examine this kind of irrational outcome or inefficient outcome by like these kind of self-interest and reason, but perhaps these kind of constraints might help you understand this. So if you map out identify different players or the distribution of power, perhaps what they have the more like powerful business association, that they have like de facto power resources that would prevent political elites or decision makers from taking this kind of decision that would reduce their gains or benefits. So that's why you need to pay attention to the distribution, the real distribution of power that would affect the decision makers or define the parameter or the institutional and the environmental constraints of decision making. So you need to define different kind of social roles. Perhaps these kind of institutional constraints, what might seem irrational for you, would be interpreted by institutional sanctions or institutional constraints. So you need kind of a community acceptability. If one of you, if there is kind of like a common knowledge or a common community standard that what you shouldn't actually resist or disagree with professors, okay, like hypothetically, okay, this is kind of institutional rule. So you might have like a professor, that these professors might overburden you with some of the coursework, but you have this kind of community or institutional rules that would tell you or would constrain your action by not kind of voicing or expressing any kind of opposition. So what might seem like irrational for you can be interpreted by uncertainty and constraints, assumptions of this. Okay.
Doctor.
Yeah.
I have a question. Why are we considering irrational outcomes as a bad choice? It could be rational for others.
In what sense?
Yeah. I mean, rational choice could be irrational for others. I don't get why are we considering it irrational.
It's inefficient. What seems like inefficient or irrational for you might be interpreted by the main assumptions of rational choice, like uncertainty and constraints as well. Like the breakdown of democratic regime and installation of authoritarianism, okay, like compliance, to illogical kind of social norms or institutional rules, because the preference here it's community acceptability rather than like utility maximization. It's not limited to material outcomes, okay? So you might have different other motivations and preferences. So that's why rational choice, theory has to accommodate or to actually introduce some other assumptions and hypotheses to be tested in order to understand and to increase, the explanatory power or the explanatory leverage of it as a theory.
Okay, I got
Please,
it. Thank
Doctor.
you.
Yeah, Noor, Sandra?
Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure what this CA refers to.
Collective action?
Yeah, this is collective action. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
collective
Oh,
actions.
yeah.
Yes.
Collective action
Yes.
problem. Yeah.
Thank
And
you,
we are
Doctor.
going we are going to talk about this next time. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So here you have like this
Doctor.
deductive model. Yeah.
Can I
Mayar?
ask a question? لا ملا.
Yeah.
For complementary explanation, you mean that we should take in our consideration the يعني
No.
the complement.
No. Don't worry. I'm just I leave it there. I need just to introduce to the analytic narratives next time. So how
We'll
rational
discuss
choice
it
actually.
next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like keep it as it is right now. Okay. Like
Okay.
you need to have like detailed knowledge about what players involved. Like remember the example of the business community and the business associations and income taxes. Okay. So you need to get like more detailed information about, you know, actors involved, their strategies and strategic calculations, and their kind of perhaps like social roles as well. So that's why you need like kind of not only to move or to reach beyond this kind of broadly defined reason and self-interest, and then they introduced, you know, some other assumptions regarding uncertainty and constraints. Constraints, it might be economic constraints or institutional rules and institutional sanctions as well might impose kind of constraints on your behavior. So here you have like as a theory that actually it's based on this kind of deductive and general model, okay? From this general model, they make hypotheses regarding rationality of actions and behavior of human being and motivation. And in order to build up, you know, these assumptions, the buzzwords here, reason, self-interest, and then they actually reached beyond, you know, this kind of narrowly defined self-interest and utility maximization concepts in order to include or to be kind of integrally connected concepts like uncertainty and constraints. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, this is for now. And then next time we're gonna focus on the application of these assumptions, how these assumptions are applied in political science, and what kind of criticism or critique offered, you know, to rational choice.
Doctor, you told us at the beginning of the lecture that you want anyone to remind you to talk about the reaction paper.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And for the reaction paper, you need to focus on the assumptions. You will have the question regarding, like, you know, what are the main assumptions of rational choice, and you can illustrate, you can elaborate on your theoretical discussion by referring to only one application. We're going to talk about two applications of rational choice: spatial models and of political representation and collective action problems. So you can like choose one of them in order to write your reaction paper, and like a brief what kind of critiques or like what kind of concerns, you know, different scholars, you know, provide or offer to rational choice.
So we have, oh, excuse me, so we have two applications. One of them is the collective actions and the other one is the...
We're going to talk about this next time. It's
the next
spatial,
time, and then I'm going to take
time.
one of them to explain it, to write a report about it, and then
you will have, you don't need to,
and then write a list of the critiques that this rational choice application got. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, Doctor, we will start
so assumptions,
the reaction papers
applications
after we finish rational choice.
Let me finish, and then I'll take your questions. So the main assumptions, and then one of the applications, and the list of critiques. Okay? Mayar?
Yes, Doctor. I said
go ahead.
So we will do the reaction paper after finishing the rational choice theory?
Yeah, you will submit this next Sunday.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, there is another problem on Blackboard. I'm not sure if you detected. They give you different. Yeah, they give you different emails. So I'm not sure if you get, like, you know, notifications of my announcements and the content I uploaded on Blackboard.
We don't get notified. When we open the Blackboard, we find that there are due dates, but we have to sign into the Blackboard. They don't get us notified.
And even if you have the app on your mobile, I'm not sure if it's compatible with iPhone, but I think, you know, with Android, you know, it's compatible. So you don't get notifications as well. You don't know.
I don't know. I use the laptop.
Yeah, because if they connected this with your FEPS emails, you should have received, you know, these kind of notifications. Okay. So I'm not sure if I need to post announcement. Where can I post this? So should we keep like Moodle? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll post everything on Moodle. Yeah, and I'll post, you know, all the announcement here on Blackboard as well. But yeah, for just in case, if because you don't get notified, so I have to do that on Moodle as well.
Doctor,
اوكي يعني الرياكشن بيبر الجايه هتبقى كلها الراشنال تشويس، مالناش دعوه بريدنج بتاعت الويكس اللي فاتت.
Yeah, it's only rational choice. Okay.
Okay. طيب okay, another question please. Is it a must that we must do it in groups, or can I do it individually?
No, you can. It's optional. If you need to work in group, it's okay. If you need to do this like individually, it's okay. So it's optional.
Okay.
But if you need to work in group, this is the
Doctor, about this, the font and the spacing and the stuff related to the report, are you going to
I'll
upload?
post. I'll post the announcement on Moodle.
Okay,
It
thank
should
you.
be like from it's 1,500 word, 1,500 words.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you will need to how to put things concisely and how to pick the relevant and the most important information from the readings.
Doctor,
Okay.
sorry, what is the access code for Moodle?
Yeah. Okay. I'll email me. You didn't enroll yourself?
No.
Okay. Just email me. I'll drop a line. Okay. I'll reply to your email.
دكتور I'm sorry بس أنا بعت لحضرتك إيميل
رقية؟
سألت
Yeah.
حضرتك على الانترنت كي على الموديل، بس حضرتك قلت لي إن حضرتك بعتيه، وأنا دخلت بصيت لقيت إنه كان حضرتك بعت الانرولمنت كي بتاع
No. You asked me about the Blackboard.
نو والله قلت لحضرتك على الموديل مش على البلاك بورد.
Okay. Just email me again. Okay.
طيب ماشي اوكي ثانك يو.
Yeah.
Doctor, I want to ask about the game theory. It's we were talking about.
Noor?
I didn't
Yeah.
understand what game theory talking about.
What?
The game theory.
Yeah, I'm not going to explain this in some detail. Here it's kind of, this is undergrad course, and I need to give you like a holistic overview about the theories in comparative politics. So rational choice, in order to respond, to this kind of strategic interaction and uncertainty, so they developed, these kind of, if you remember when we talk about behavioralism and hard science and what kind of tools, they introduced, so this kind of mathematical models and statistical models, if you remember that. So game theory, it's kind of mathematical models that would deal, with this kind of strategic interaction between at least, two players.
Empirical.
And taking into consideration, this kind of uncertainty while reaching, political equilibrium.
Okay, Doctor, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So here, this is like the abstraction you need just to get grasp or hold, to understand well, the main assumptions of the theory, the theoretical foundation, of rational choice, and then some sort of, I'm not going to give you like, all the applications of rational choice in political science. I just picked, two of the applications, but there are many other applications of rational choice in political science. If you need just to advance or to take like to follow advanced course, on rational choice, so you will learn more about different applications of political science, but you have like, the overarching, framework of rational choice assumptions as a theory.
يعني يا دكتور الابلكيشنز بتاعت الثيوري دي هنجيب زي examples على كذا دولة مثلا.
I have two applications here. I'm going to explain in some detail next time. Collective action problem, okay, and this kind of what's called like in political competition, how political parties would position themselves on the political spectrum. It's called like a spatial model of political representation.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, so this is like the two applications I'm going to explain in some detail, but there are so many other applications. Okay. And meanwhile, if you have any question, just email me, and perhaps like next time, until like we sort out, this kind of voice thing. But please, guys, you email the IT or the vice dean or whoever, the one in charge, like telling them about, the quality of the voice, and then meanwhile we can have like our sessions on Zoom.
Okay, Doctor.
Yeah.
هو الديدلاين الرياكشن بيبر امتى معلش ولا حضرتك ما قلتيش؟
It's on your outline in the syllabus.
خلاص اوكي يا دكتور ثانك يو.
Yeah, okay. It's I think it's Sunday, next Sunday.
اوكي يا دكتور ثانك يو.
One for the lecture, okay?
اوكي.
Yeah. Okay, guys. See you next time. Bye.